Hello, thank you again for clicking on the video. I am John Fischetti, the ortho-molecular representative for the Western suburbs of Chicago. And on this finally bright and sunshiny day in Illinois, I hope you have the sun shining over you as well. Thank you again. And today's topic, I want to talk a little bit about something that's been kind of blown up in the mass media. I think I've said this term before. It's certainly not mine coined phrase, but I think it's relevant. A pandemic creates an infodemic. And from that, I like to add on a second quote that we can't confuse information with knowledge. So when all the chaos occurs and you start to see patients will be going around, they want to know more, so they're being diligent and trying to read and study. They're going to have a lot of things coming at them. And then they're going to turn around and start to assume that that information that they just gathered is now knowledge and put it essentially to the test. Or, like most of my practitioners have explained to me, they're going to show up to you asking you what they should be doing about this. And if glutathione, for instance, is something they should be adding to their immune supporting repertoire during this reintroduction phase, or again, reintroducing their immune system out into the community, whether it be their place of leisure or work. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen with you. This is the post that I was referring to. So in the New York Post, there's an article about a mother who essentially became diagnosed with COVID. Her son, who is a medical student, went to a practitioner that was already treating another family member, the daughter or his sister, for Lyme disease. And one of the things they suggested to help alleviate her breathing issues, the mother, was antioxidant support. In particular, the article actually will show you that they used orthomolecular's glutathione. Now, why am I bringing this to you? Yes, it is a little bit of brownie points for us, but also I think this is very relevant because, as I said before, I want you to be able to communicate to your patients what is going on and what they need to know, as far as if it's something important to them in particular for their manner of care. But also, you are on the front lines, and I want to be able to share information with you as you are coming in contact with patients. I want to be able to give you the information to support your actions and your plan of care. With that being said, the mother was having breathing issues. The daughter, who had been treated for Lyme disease before, they went back to his practitioner after she was given some standard of care and not basically much change after the antibiotics. And what they found was, he suggested, similar to Lyme disease, that we use antioxidants or antioxidant support for the mother. And that was where glutathione from orthomolecular was used. And the mother claims that she saw a drastic change in about an hour with her breathing issues. So what can we take away from this? One, a lot of my practitioners that I've been having this conversation with basically want to know a little bit more about the antioxidant support and the lung connection. Two, a lot of my practitioners have had a lot of misconceptions about glutathione, and I want to help to clear the air. So this is a study that I want to share with you, and there's two things that I want to highlight, or at least two key takeaways. The first is that glutathione was believed from a 1992 pharmacokinetic study to only be absorbed, or rather to not be absorbed in the reduced version, and thus we created a solution for a problem that didn't exist. And that being, we started using liposomals, acetyl groups, and other adjuncts to help in the reduced version, so it can be utilized for antioxidant support. As you know, glutathione is the most abundant endogenous antioxidant we have. Why is this important? Well, in doing so, liposomals and acetyl groups, you've created a product that is quite costly for the patient. Now, at times like these, would hope we all are thinking about something that is more cost efficient, but also effective for the patient. And because of that, Orthomolecular Products was able to come up with a product from Cetria that is the reduced version. And they shared this study with us, and I want to highlight for you. This is Dr. John Ritchie, PhD, and his team out of Penn State. And after 6 months of data, what they were able to show was the reduced version of glutathione, when taken orally, was absolutely able to be absorbed into whole blood, erythrocytes, the plasma, lymphocytes, and into the buccal mucosal cells. So again, disproving that 1992 pharmacokinetic study that we had really nothing else to go off of, and maybe not the technology at the time to gather this data. The other aspect is we had been speaking about Dr. Risto Vijani's big three, as I call them, when we're looking at why people get no infection or mild infection or serious infection when they come in contact with a virus. In particular, he highlighted three things: mucosal immunity, and we can measure that with secretory IgA, the innate immune response, and the modulation of inflammation. Last time we had spoken about mitochore, or rather, mitochore, and supporting mitochondria to help improve the innate immune response and modulation of inflammation with the inhibition of our inflammasome assemblies. But also we talked a little bit about the innate immune response and bled into the adaptive immune response. And in particular, I want to highlight NK cells here, because what we were able to see is after 3 months, natural killer cell cytotoxicity increased twofold in the high dose group. You can see the high dose group here is 1,000 milligrams per day. Why is that important? We're highlighting what glutathione can be used for. One, it can be utilized to help with this innate immune response, increase your patient's potential for their immune system to act quickly, given an imminent threat. But also, when we go back to these first post, when we talk about our lung capacity and what has changed, well, the conversation changes to this inflammation. The reason being, I'm actually going to post here, we know there's been plenty of studies and information that have shown that glutathione can help with different lung diseases, or vice versa. We've seen deficiencies in the presence of these diseases, and in particular when we talk about acute lung injury or acute respiratory distress syndrome, which I think is what we're talking about here in this particular post. And the reason being oxidative stress, as you know, with antioxidant support, and then also what that leads into, which is our inflammation cascades. And glutathione, as you know, then can help modulate our reactive oxygen species, which are directly related in increasing the activity of nuclear factor kappa beta, or NF-kappa B, the master switch of inflammation. Why is this important? This is what we're highlighting in this particular post, right? The ability of glutathione, the most abundant endogenous antioxidant in the body, has ability to work on oxidative stress and thus modulate inflammation. And you can see the results here with glutathione deficiencies. Certain diseases can be linked. Now, I know many of you out there are saying, well, yes, that's good and all, but what about why are these people deficient? One can be obviously our genetic SNPs when it talks about the enzyme utilized to synthesize glutathione. We're not going to highlight that today. However, we are going to talk about on the nutritional side, the lifestyle side. In certain nutritional deficiencies, in particular, when we look at selenium and we look at riboflavin, what we see here, and I'll highlight this image here in a second, is that glutathione, unlike some antioxidants that are one and done, needs to be recycled and utilized again and again throughout its half-life, in order for our oxidation to be modulated. What does that mean? Well, you can see here the reduced version of glutathione, which we now know can be absorbed orally at a more cost efficient for your patient. When basically utilizing this enzyme glutathione peroxidase in the presence, which is a necessary cofactor, selenium, we're able to pull an oxygen off of, say, hydrogen peroxide, leaving water, right? We're not going to be damaged by water. However, that glutathione that is now oxidized has to then be recycled into the reduced version. Otherwise, it is rendered inactive, and then we may see an increase in oxidative stress. For that, we need riboflavin, or the glutathione reductase enzyme, to be activated. So when we talk about nutritional deficiencies, you can see there are necessary nutrients that we need in the body for this process to happen. Most likely we're not getting it from our standard American diet, but you can do micronutrient testing to observe this a little bit more. And in particular, one product that we talked about last week, not only supporting the mitochondria to support ATP production, but also we have selenium and riboflavin in this product, as it is a multivitamin at its backbone, which can help support the recycling process of glutathione, because we usually look for root cause resolutions rather than just giving someone a recovery product, though those are sometimes necessary. But what you'll see here is when giving someone glutathione, we can also then help to support the recycling process and the precursors with N-acetylcysteine in mitochondria. And when used synergistically, you can really help to minimize oxidative stress and work at the molecular level of inhibiting our inflammasome assemblies. So this is a great combination package to have for your patients at the basic immune support. As you can see here, I did want to highlight mitochondria comes not only in capsules, but in a protein pack as well. And we also have these individual packs, so that way if our people are on the go, not currently, but hopefully come June, they can grab these, throw them into their lunchbox and mix them maybe during their lunch or afternoon snack. Again, thank you so much for tuning into this video. The point was to highlight a little bit of information and bring some knowledge into it. One being, yes, there's that post out there about glutathione, a little bit of browning points for orthomolecular products, but also to shed some light on possibly why that intervention was successful when we talk about minimizing oxidative stress and also then inhibiting or modulating inflammation. Also, as you now know, glutathione is able to be absorbed in the orally in the reduced version. This obviously will then bring down the cost when you don't have to use the liposome, making it more cost efficient for your patients. I hope that helps shed some light and some information. Sun is still shining over my head. Hopefully it is over yours as well. Thank you. Be safe and be well. And I look forward to seeing you soon.